All right, I'd like to call the Duvall City Council meeting to order. If we could all rise for the flag salute led by Jason Walker this evening.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All righty, welcome. Can I get the clerk to please call roll?
Councilmember Brudnicki. Here. Councilmember Iyer.
Here.
Councilmember Thomas.
Here.
Councilmember Nixon. Here. Councilmember Hogue. Here. Councilmember Oglander. Here. Councilmember Walker.
Here.
We have a quorum.
All righty, under additions and corrections to the agenda, please add payroll in the amount of $162,656.32 for the week of October 5th, and payroll for the week of October 20th for $98,640.53, and claims the amount of $1,975,704.76.5. That's a joke. All righty. With that, do we have any council members who wish to speak this evening? Yes. Yeah, Councilmember Nixon, Councilmember Oglander. That side of the room's quiet, okay. All righty. Okay, do we have a motion to adopt tonight's council agenda?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? All righty, motion carries. Next item up is the consent agenda, which is council minutes and committee of the whole minutes for October 3rd. Payroll and claims just listed out. Do we have a motion for tonight's consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, comments from the audience. Anyone wishing to speak tonight about, say, a radio station or anyone, come on up. Just introduce yourself. Jody will make sure the mic is on. Oh, or if you wanted to talk about our hardware tip for the evening.
I've got a loud voice, hopefully do that. So my name is Matt Higgins. I run a hardware store in town. I'm coming as a visitor from the Chamber of Commerce and currently the Vice President of the Chamber of Commerce. I just wanted to express the Chamber's joy in seeing the civil way the debate was held a couple of weeks ago here in this building. We feel that if that civil attitude can stay with whoever ends up being our council people and mayor, we'll be very well served. Just on the political side of things, we are understanding that there are many sides to several debates that are happening right now in this town and in the city, and we're glad to see the debate. Our feeling is that we are just at the point in this town to have the critical mass to start seeing businesses and services arrive and thrive. We haven't in the past. We're just starting to see that happen, and we would caution this body to thinking that this is the best it can be and to kind of close the door on the growth in this town. It can get better. We've been here through a lot of ups and downs, and we happen to be at a high point right now, and sometimes it's easy to look around and say, this is great, let's preserve this, let's put this on ice, but it doesn't work that way. You need to take the opportunities when they come, because they don't always come, and we would just caution or throw our advice into the debate that we do want to see continued slow but necessary growth to this town. We appreciate all that you guys have done. This town is a wonderful place to live, and we know that it will continue to be a great place to do business. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anyone else wishing to speak?
Hi, my name is Heather Stark, and I'm with Valley Radio 103.1 FM. And I met several of you at the candidates forum. See, now we were told that we couldn't say it was a debate. We had to say it was a forum, so. We followed that.
It was great.
Yeah. And as you may or may not know, maybe you running that every Saturday, or every Sunday evening, because it was what we think is a really great public service. I've lived in this area, not in Duvall proper, but between here and Woodinville for the last 40 years. I spent 15 years as a professional broadcaster in Seattle, hiking into downtown. And about 3 years ago, when I first heard wind of starting a community, low-power FM community broadcast station here in the Duvall area, I jumped on board. I think community is so important to us. It is absolutely essential that we not get lost, and we cannot, I mean, even the Seattle Times no longer has an East Side reporter. We get lost in that Seattle stuff. I don't want to get lost in Seattle stuff, and I don't think any of you do either. So that means that for me, and I hope for you, Valley Radio's presence here is huge. It's huge. It's our station. Now, we have wrapped it in a format of alternative album music, which is very popular, very approachable music, very pleasant to listen to. As a matter of fact, I was just looking at the comments on our webpage tonight, and the very first comment is, great music, like the music. The fact that we are low power means that we really cover only Duvall, Carnation, and Redmond Ridge. However, this is the age of miracles, and you can actually listen to our station on TuneIn. You can listen to it on iTunes. You can listen to it on our own website with live streaming at valley103.1.org, valley103.1.org. And you can also, I've been told, go to your Amazon Alexa and request to turn on Valley 103.1 on TuneIn. So there are a number of options. We are certainly covering more than the Valley, but our community focus is right here in the Valley. We've been very fortunate that we have moved quickly. Although there was groundwork that went on for a couple of years, 3 years, to get our license, to get things all set up, and that's time that is required, but it's not visible. People don't see a lot of progress being made. But once we got the license, once we got everything going, we had our launch party in March of this year. And since March, we have covered live events in Duvall, from the Sandblast to the Farmers Market to the Candidates Forum by the Chamber. And we plan on doing more of that. Now, we're doing it right now with a prayer and a promise, Band-Aids and duct tape. And so we're coming to you hand in hand, or microphone in hand as it is, saying, if you can see a way to support us, we would really appreciate that. We need equipment. Just this last week, our 2 borrowed CD players conked out at the same time. Okay, so now we're scrambling, where do we get new CD players? Because as you may be aware, we are doing local programming. We have people who come to us, and we have a mechanism in place, procedures in place. So if you, Ms. Nixon, if you want to come to us and say, I think that we should do a program featuring longtime Duvall residents, we would say, okay, how do you envision that? We would offer you training to put it together. We would vet it, and if it seems to fly, we'll do it. And so we have our goal right now we have half a dozen local programs, but our goal is to do more. We want more. We want this to truly represent the community. So not only are we planning more live broadcasts and more remotes for the Duvall area and the Carnation area, not so much Redmond Ridge, because they'll, it's really Duvall and Carnation, even though our coverage includes Redmond Ridge. We want to do more. We want to serve this community. We want to be a voice for the community, but we need the money to do it. So as you plan your budget, I talked to Stuart, who is our board chair, a board member, and he said, if we could get $10,000, and I said, I'll ask. And he said, oh, you can't ask for that. I said, I'll ask. But we would be grateful for anything. Right now, our big need is we are having spotty coverage getting into Duvall on our live feed. And so we're working, trying to figure out, we need to buy a higher mast, about another 50 feet, I think, that we have. And we need to buy another chunk of antenna in order to get the coverage we'd like to have for Duvall. Right now, we're doing okay in Carnation as far as coverage is concerned. I mean, you can actually hear us almost all the way into Falls City if you take that road. But we need to improve our coverage and our reception area here. So we are applying for whatever grants we can find. We are very fortunate that the City of Carnation, in their budget proceedings, saw fit to give us $5,000 for the coming year. And we're hoping, I don't want to start any competition or anything, We are hoping that maybe you guys can see your way in the budgets to help us make this happen. One final thing, you can give me the book, it's okay. You never put a person who speaks for a living in front of a mic and just go to it. So I'm not offended if I'm overstepping my time frame here. But one of the things that we're working really hard on is working with the school. We've actually helped them start a broadcasting club. And we want, in our vision, to have young people come in and learn the trade. And be able to learn it from us locally rather than trying to fight their way to the government. That's our vision, that's our history. We're asking for your support in any way that you can.
All right, thank you. Okay, anyone else wishing to address council?
Hello, my name is Richard Bowman. I live at 27127 Northeast Stewart Street, Oklahoma 9. I just want to make a generic comment on property taxes. Over the last year or so, we've had really good influx of tax money. We've had money coming in from building. If you look at the budgets that I've seen several show us on the screens, we've got money coming in. It's going fairly well. Myself, I'm a little concerned. My property value is increasing. It increased by $100,000 in 1 year, which is pretty high in my opinion. $40,000, $50,000 a year, no problem. That's a lot. My neighborhood went up $200,000. So we're already have an increase in value, so that means there's more money coming in. So I just say caution. Running in and adding a new property tax could do one of two things. Now me, I could survive. I'm retired. I know my income. I could live through it. I'm worried about people who are retired, been living here for 40 years, their house is paid off, they only have to pay taxes, and they're on a limited income. So as these property taxes go up, just on evaluation, that's hard enough for them. Our evaluation has gone up quite a bit in the last 3 years. Those people are suffering. I'm seeing house foreclosures. So I just want to use this moment just to voice my opinion. That's it. No big deal. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. All right, anyone else wishing to address council tonight? Okay. Seeing none, I have three things real quick. First of all, our city administrator is not here this evening, so I'll be covering his topics tonight. Number two is that I will be asking council later tonight to come up to the finance director for a special budget meeting on November 14th. We moved our council meeting to November 1st. Following that, the next council meeting won't be until the 21st, and so that's kind of a long period of time to provide some feedback back, both formally and informally, to the finance director so we can actually wrap up the budget. So I'll be asking for a special meeting on the 14th where the department heads will review each piece that they submitted. I'll review the portions that I've done, and then we can hopefully solicit some specific feedback back for folks. And so that'll come up for discussion later tonight with Lindsay's help. We do have a room secured already if council is all in favor of that. And that would be here at the school district in one of their offices off to the side. The third is come out for the big, exciting grand opening. You'll see a postcard in your mail here shortly for October 28th from 3 to 6 p.m. is the grand opening of the new ball field. So we have a great opportunity to come up and see it. We're hoping it will be a sunny afternoon. We did pick later in the day because that's when a lot of the sports organizations will be out to participate. We did, quote unquote, have a soft opening. I believe, boy, it was the 16th. Was that the first games that we had played?
Last night?
Last night. It was the first games that we had up there. And I believe it went okay.
Went very well.
Okay, great. So with that, we will move on to Councilmember Nixon.
I see that the director of the Snow Valley Senior Center is here, Lisa. And I wanted to thank Lisa for probably one of the best auctions I've been to. And I've been to a lot of auctions in the valley, and this one was outstanding. Snow Valley Seniors, what number was it, please?
About 70,000
About 70,000. And that's gross, that's not net. And they're still working on the net. But it was up at the, and it seemed to have come home because it was at Carnation Farms in the Hippodrome. So it was very well attended, 180 people. And the food was superb. It seemed to really have a full purpose. And a lot of Snow Valley seniors are Duvall rights, over half. And so I want to make sure that everyone knows that I support in the budget, putting some money to our senior center because they have a lot of money cut from King County and from other things. So I just wanted to thank Lisa personally because it was an outstanding auction and you really had a sense of, I'm not sure how to explain it, but you've heard that brotherhood type thing. And it was there, and it was really nice to feel, so thank you, Lisa.
All righty. Any questions for Councilman Nixon? All righty, Mayor Pro Tem Ogden.
Great, thank you. On Friday, I attended the Eastside Transportation Partnership meeting where we received an update on the Puget Sound Regional Council Transportation 2040 update, as well as an update from the state on the road usage charge pilot project, and approved the operating agreement with King County for Eastside Transportation Partnership, and that has to be done every few years. The day before, I attended the Puget Sound Regional Council Project Selection Committee. I'm serving on that as a representative of the Puget Sound Regional Council Executive Board. We went over the ground rules for awards. It looks like we don't have any on the list this year, but there's a lot of good projects that can impact us indirectly on that list up for potential funding as well. Almost 2 weeks ago, I was fortunate to be able to attend with Planning Director Thomas and Finance Director Vaughn, Police Chief Hurt, Sergeant DeBach, our newest officer, Scott Benjamin's graduation from the Basic Law Enforcement Academy. It was a much shorter graduation than the last one, and just over an hour compared to 2.5 hours the one before, so it's really interesting to see how different instructors can really change that dynamic for the ceremony. Finally, yesterday, I was fortunate enough to be able to attend the Hope Link fundraiser with Dr. Jill Biden. She gave quite an impressive speech, and it was a sold-out event at Biden Bauer with 1,800 people. So as folks know, we have a Hope Link facility in the city of Duvall that provides services and housing for folks. So it was nice to be able to go and support another organization that provides services to our community.
All righty, any questions for Mayor Pro Tem Ogden? All righty, Administrator has 3 items tonight. The first is a city stage sponsorship RFP. The clerk's going to pass that out. Matthew would appreciate your feedback in the next week of the key pieces of this. And this is, as you all know, the Duvall Tavern is the main sponsor right now for the stage. And that expires at the end of this year. So next year, we are looking to go out to bid. And as council asked the last time we did this process, so before you is the actual RFP for basically the 18, 19, and 20 time frame. So if you folks could take a look at it, provide some direct feedback to him, that would be very much appreciated because you'd like to get it out of the street here in the next week. Hopefully by the end of the month, we're going to get it out. So any edits that you have, you can get back to them by say the end of next week. That would be much appreciated. The second item is the Internet Franchise Group. They're moving along at a great pace. The actual de facto chair, as I'll call him, is in the audience with us tonight. So thank you, sir, for helping out on that. They have a next meeting on November 16th, at which time Ogden, Wallace, and Murphy, a law firm that specializes in franchise agreements, is going to actually come and talk with them about some of the things that the do's and don'ts of what to look for in an agreement. Because this technical committee has provided some great support. Wade, who met with us, and a specific committee of the whole meeting, also met with the franchise group and received some great feedback from that perspective and things to look at and things to work on. And so at this point, we're looking for some recommendations from the technical committee because our franchise agreement does expire at the end of this year. And we're looking for the technical committee to give us a yay or nay whether we should sign a 1-year extension, which is, I think that's what they may recommend, but we're going to wait and see what that comes out at, to actually work through the negotiations of a new agreement that will give, candidly, the next administration, the next council, an opportunity to weigh in on what that agreement would look like. The last is the Duvall Visitor Center lease is up at the end of the year, and so I asked the administrator to sit down with NJ Shelby of the Chamber to talk through some of the finer points of that. The biggest pieces, of course, are the utilities and the lease excise tax as well as rent. And so he's working on some of the components of that. And at the next meeting, he will bring back some of the pieces of that, what that will look like. Okay, any questions on any 3 things that Matthew had on the list? All righty, seeing none. Mr. Benson for Main Street and Big
sir. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Boyd Benson, Public Works. For a brief update on Main Street, you'll notice decreased activity with the weather, but most of the concrete is placed on the sidewalk with a few ADA ramps left. So we almost have full connectivity going down to Safeway. Activities this week, or they'll start working on the interior medians within the roadway. And right now, a lot of work has been focused on the sewer cure-in-place pipeline work. That's where they take a resin-coated sock and shove it down the sewer main, inject hot steam, expands, and basically creates a brand new pipe. So we had some defects in 165-foot section of pipe, so they're out there sanding that down and taking care of business with that. You've seen the seat wall has been installed down at 143rd and 3rd, so we're very excited about that, as well as the mitigation plantings, which look pretty good. That's pretty much what we have in store for Main Street. Any questions that I can answer?
Do you have any idea, Boyd, when they're going to finish the concrete work?
For the sidewalks or?
Sidewalks and of course in the park area now, right?
Within the next 2 weeks. It is weather dependent. So they started doing some good production last week, and then we ended up having some weather. So for a while there, the reason this took so long is there were some issues with getting concrete in the first place. So they were scheduling short loads, not short loads, but shorter sections of the sidewalk being placed because of unavailability of concrete. So it's getting close. Anything else? For Big Rock Ball Field, just a few quick images. We're very excited. All from Project Manager Coy, who was up there this afternoon and evening, making sure that the lights were energized. We had a stop opening last night where all 8 lights worked, and then 5 of the lights turned off. But even with 3 of the lights going, the illumination was great. So once again, Mayor discussed the grand opening on the 28th, so please attend that if you can. Right now, they're opening, the fields are being used by soccer and junior Red Bulls. So this is a new use of the fields. The easternmost field has been striped with 10-yard lines for football. It doesn't have a full end zone, so you can't put a goalpost, but it's pretty well set. The field lighting is operational, and this is something that we can call up on our cell phones or call the lighting supply or get online, turn them on and off. So as it sits now, we're still working with administration of the mayor on how this will work, but if you pay for the lights, they come on. If you don't pay for the lights, they don't come on. So we're still trying to understand exactly how to schedule and run the lights. Like I said, the field has been approved and it's good to go. You'll see continued perimeter concrete work, but the majority has been installed. With that said, once again, thank you for approving the change orders last week or 2 weeks ago. So that allows us to continue installing drainage and sewer for potential future restroom. And the last one is the maintenance shed has been installed, and that installation is scheduled in December. We're looking forward to that because right now we have huge rolls of turf sitting in our bay at Public Works where we should keep snowplow vehicles. So we'll try to find an interim home for those that's supposed to be kept dry. Once again, grand opening. Right now it's 3 to 6 with the ribbon cutting at 3:30, followed by the first pitch. This is something the mayor auctioned off to local residents. We have music lined up, hot chocolate, and some cake. Sports clubs activities. Right now we're letting the sports groups kind of run with it. So Little League and soccer have some good ideas of what they want to do. Maybe some clinics, or maybe some exhibition games. And try to get the marching band, but they weren't available, so the cheerleaders will show up and help celebrate that. Pretty picture of field lights. It is amazing. I'll just tell you, Ms. Thomas, when you see the contours of light show that there's very little light bleed off the site, it's real. These lights are pretty amazing. So you go up there and the lights illuminate the field greatly, but you don't see reflection on the adjacent fields. You can see, I mean, those are all trees in the upper left hand photo, and you don't see illumination, a little illumination in the far corner of the trees, so very light pollution. That's it. With respect to the sewer, we have started looking at in-city design for the portion within Big Rock Road. We talked with the administration and mayor. Do we sub that out with a civil contractor or something sold to get that design? We think we can do that in-house and get that out. So that's our plan right now. If we're not able to do that because of workload, we'll end up going to a consultant to get that designed. And that's all we got. Any questions about Big Rock Ball Field that I can answer?
Yes.
Yes,
We
sir.
do have a question from Mayor Pro Tem Walker.
I actually just received a constituent email within the last hour asking about the soccer fields and saying that they were under the impression that when they're not in use, that the community could use them. And this constituent son told her that the topic is up for debate and they were asked not to play there. So she wants to know what the opportunity is for community input and making sure that the community is able to use them when they're not booked.
That's a very good question. Mayor, administration, and Public Works have started looking at some policies recommended for council consideration. Right now, the field is set up where our parks close at dusk. And that's how our parks are set up, those are the rules. So if you pay for the field and pay for lights, the park will be open further past that time. Once we have this is mayor and council and administration deciding this, but what staff is recommending is once we get to the point where the park is open, daylight hours are fair game if you folks decide. With that said, there are concerns from staff and I think administration and mayor. If the gates are left open all night with the lights on, we may see potential for vandalism and damage. So it'll really be a policy discussion on see how you want to see the field to use. The direction we have from the mayor is this is a city investment by the citizens, and they should have full rights to use it. And that's where we're going with the understanding that, like I said, parks close at dusk. So if you pay for lights, we can recommend that the park stay open for use. If you don't, maybe that you folks decide that the park is secured. But that's a policy discussion for you folks at a soon-to-be future date.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions? Mr. Benson? Okay, next up is the fire chief. Thanks again for coming, Chief Burke.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm David Burke, I'm the Fire Chief, and we appreciate the opportunity to share a little bit of information about what's going on with the fire district. We'll start with the calls. We continue to be on a record pace, and we're forecasted, especially with the weather that we have in the coming week, that we will likely exceed 1,000 calls again this year. I would say that we are 3 short of our record pace of 2006 for the same time period. So we haven't had any significant weather events, so it's just busier. So happy to be able to provide the service, and related to that, probably 75% of our calls are medic-based calls, EMS, and we are still providing the majority of our transports to our people that call, and we do that at no charge. Just putting that plug in for you. Mobilizations for a while then. We've talked about that through the summer, and it has been an extremely busy year for our crews. Just to remind you, we send them when requested by the state or federal mobilization, and we are reimbursed. So citizens here are not at risk of losing money, and we backfill for them so our service level does not drop. But what happens is we do receive some revenue for the actual unit that goes. The wages are reimbursed, but our people are gaining valuable experience. I was talking with one of the council members before the meeting, and the concern was, what if we had some big event here? How would we be better prepared to do that? And that's one of the gains that we make by participating in these mobilizations is our people interact and work regularly with state and federal agencies. And so we hope it never happens, but if it does, I believe we are much better prepared to deal with it. So specific to the mobilization we're on now, typically we go to Eastern Washington, but we've been to Oregon twice, and I've got 2 crews that are in California right now working around now. We've got our brush truck there as well as a strike team leader or a supervisor position. And talking with the strike team leader yesterday, they believe that they're making a real big difference to some of the structure protections, some of the houses. They talked specifically about a cul-de-sac that would have been lost had their strike team not been there, being able to do some mitigation work to prevent the fire from overtaking it. So be proud that your people are representing well for the state of California. Moving on with recruit graduation. As you know, we are a combination department and we recruit volunteers annually, and we've had a very, very strong class this past year. We have 7 people that are scheduled to graduate from the EMS portion of their training Thursday night. This is great. This is the biggest academy that we've had probably in the last 7-8 years. Very strong candidates, one of which already has their fire training. So you may see some new and unfamiliar faces on some of our units or out in town coming up, because they'll start to be assigned to shifts and working calls. We anticipate sometime either spring or fall of next year once they complete their probationary requirements. If any of you are interested, you are invited at the station at 7 p.m. Thursday night. We'd love to have you. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention fire prevention month, week, or whatever. Last week was busy for our crews. Every year we go to all of the elementary schools and we speak about fire prevention to the children. And I'll tell you, it is a very important time for us because we really value the opportunity to meet the children before they have a bad day. And so it builds that trust level, we're able to educate, and we've seen the benefits of that when we go to these emergency calls to their homes, and the children recognize you and say, hey, you were at my school, and they have a little bit more level of calm in the chaos. And so they also remember how to call 911 and how to stop, drop, and roll, and all of those types of things. And so we really appreciate the partnership of the school district for that. It's a great thing. See, the last official topic I have is we recently, the Board of Fire Commissioners held a special meeting, town hall, if you will, in the format of the northeast part of the district, which is right off Cherry Valley Road and Kelly Road, regarding our proposed new station. So met with the community, talked about the need for the station, the overall plan, and just to let city administration know that there's likely going to be a bond initiative sometime, maybe one of the special elections in the spring or summer of next year. The concept is to replace the existing bond for our headquarters station, which we paid off in 2018. We are very conscious of the financial impacts of the taxpayers, and so we can replace one with the other. That's the goal. We are in the conditional use permit phase of it, and so the signs are posted, so if you travel that way, you'll see the signs at 318th and Cherry Valley with the, I guess, the forecasted chart. The best we would probably do would be to open sometime in either summer or early fall of 2019. So I'll be updating you with that as we move along. Lastly, on a personal note, I would just like to thank each of you for your comments, support, calls, cards, etc. as I dealt with my father's cancer. And I apologize for my absence over time, but I'm sure you understand it was very important that I spend some time with him. So thank you for that, and I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
Well, Chief, I want to thank you for your team participating in the earthquake drill. And I know Councilmember Iyer actually got to ride the helicopter that day, so. But yeah, so it was a great event, so thank you, Department, for helping out.
I'll tell you what, we really celebrate the relationship we have with the city and the school district and all of our volunteer groups that serve the MRC, the radio hands, etc. And to be able to pull those together for a drill, it's really encouraging for me. I hope you never need it. It's like insurance, but to know that you have that support and then that camaraderie and teamwork, I'm really confident that when and if we ever have a circumstance, then we're going to be better for it. So yeah, thanks for the reminder of that.
Any other questions or comments? All righty, thank you, Chief.
Thank you very much.
All righty, next up is item number 7, the 2017 Comprehensive Plan Amendments. There's 2 of them, and Troy Davis of the Quantum Planning Department will lead that discussion tonight. It's on page 11 of 245 in your packet, if you're curious.
Good evening, council, or mayor and council. I'm Troy Davis, senior planner here at the city of Duvall. I'm coming up on my 2 years, which I think I said last time. But I'm excited to be here. So tonight's topic is actually on docket item number 6 for this year's 2017 docket. If you'll recall, there's a number of proposed amendments on the docket. Tonight we're talking about item number 6. And these are the PSRC recommended updates. So the Puget Sound Regional Council, what they did is they conditionally certified the city's 2015 comprehensive plan back in January. They said, here's a few changes that you need to make. Transportation plan draft actually was submitted to Commerce and PSRC, and no additional changes were required. We saw that in the September 20th letter that was submitted. So right now, we just recently submitted draft comprehensive plan changes to PSRC for review prior to adoption. And those were submitted on October 11th. And then proposed changes need to be adopted and submitted to PSRC by the end of the year. So we have until December 31st to adopt those changes and put them in place for them to review on final time. So we'll talk about a little bit about the conditions for PSRC certification and where those fall in terms of policy documents. So in the transportation plan, there's a couple updates that need to happen. One was to update the inventories of existing transportation facilities. The second item was to update land use assumptions used in estimating future travel demand. And so those changes were made in the transportation plan. They also wanted to see updates to the city's multi-year investment financing, which is done through our CIP and TIP, which have been updated. And the other thing they wanted to see was us adding language about how annexations of the city's urban growth area reserves will be guided by adopted growth targets in the regional growth strategy. So that was another little amendment that we threw into the land use element. So those are the changes, and on the right and on the left are the documents that those changes went into. So now we'll kind of dive in a little bit into the weeds about what those changes were. So throughout the different elements, we referenced the 2017 update of the 2015 capacity and transportation analysis study that was done with the EIS alternatives. So you probably saw that at the base of all those tables there. Pretty simple change. The proposed commercial